when legal threats reveal more than they hide. After I posted a video online sharing my experience, I received what appeared to be a legal warning, supposedly from a legal advisor linked to a company in Dubai. At first glance, it seems formal, but something felt off. A friend helped me look deeper, and that's when I realized it wasn't a real legal letter. Here's why. Email came from a business domain .capital, not a .com or .ae address, which are standard for legitimate companies or legal entities operating in the UAE. That alone raised immediate red flags. The name of the so-called legal advisor, Herawati, isn't listed in any known legal directories in the UAE. In fact, the name is distinctly Indonesian, making it questionable for someone supposedly practicing law out of Dubai. There was no official firm name attached, no credentials, and no way to verify her legal standing. Then came the content itself, harsh, overly dramatic, and disturbingly personal. It included threats of criminal defamations, asset seizure, and financial destruction, all in the very first message. That kind of language is not typical of genuine legal notices. It sounded far more like something he would write, especially the familiar tone of financial intimidation, which I have experienced before. There were no references to legal registration numbers, no bar association affiliations, and no traceable firms' contact details beyond their suspicious email domain. No law firms operate like that. And if what I posted was genuinely false, why not simply issue a correction or engage in professional communication? Why go straight to fear? That's when it became crystal clear. This wasn't a legal letter, it was a scare tactic, a fake legal threat crafted not to resolve anything, but to silence and intimidate. And here's what that really reveals. If someone goes so far as to fabricate a legal threat, it's not just desperation, it's an admission of panic, especially after 8 weeks of silence and growing public pressure. But irony has a way of flipping the script because issuing a fake legal threat may itself be a criminal offense involving impersonation of legal authority, misrepresentation, and harassment. Okay, real lawyers don't hide behind fake names or untraceable domains. Real legal actions doesn't begin with fear, it begins with facts. The truth is, fake lawyers and false threats can't erase the truth. They only confirm how close it is to being fully exposed. Quiet reminder, intimidation may delay the inevitable, but it never prevents it. Please, if anyone still believes that silence and fake threats will erase the truth, they're about to learn the hard way. The truth doesn't disappear, it only becomes undeniable. I have only revealed 60%. The rest I'm saving for the end. I have only shared about 60% of what I know. The other 40%, that's been kept intentionally quiet. Not because I didn't have the answers, not because I was uncertain, but because I'm not in a rush. I wanted to watch this unfold slowly. I wanted to see if those involved would realize the danger they were walking into, or if they would keep fooling themselves into thinking that staying silent would keep them safe. They thought that shutting doors, hiding in silence, and dragging things out might outlast the truth. They believed delay could protect them. But here's what they didn't see coming. I've been working in the background this whole time, not just posting to expose them. I have been building something calculated, intentional. None of this timeline has been random. I never held back to protect them. Why would I? Especially when someone clearly doesn't know where the line is. I held back because I wanted to see what they would do if they would try to settle before the final layer of truth collapses every escape route they thought they had. The motives they tried to cover up, the messy timelines they hoped no one would connect, the documents they assumed were buried for good, already backed up, already reviewed, already lined up. And when final 40% comes out, there'll be no room to shift blame, no time left to delay, and nowhere left to hide. They probably still believe I haven't done my groundwork, that all of this ends at the surface. But what's happening now? Everything I've shared so far is already part of a much bigger trail. The truth doesn't disappear, it waits. And when it lands hard. No warning, no second chances. Some marriages are built on love, others, they are built on strategy, fear, and the need to hide. Not everyone gets married to build a life. Some do it to cover up a past they don't want to face, to escape consequences, to secure status, to hide behind a new identity when the old one starts cracking. And the signs, they show up early if you are paying attention. A first marriage that was never properly closed, a sudden second union abroad without any clarity, a quiet relocation right after legal pressure starts, gaps in official records, and nothing but silence when the questions begin. So here's the real question. What happens when someone gets married again, but never legally ended the first one? What happens when someone crosses borders, not just physically, but legally, while dragging secrets they hope no one would uncover? That's not just a personal slip up. That's bigamy, that's immigration fraud, that's misuse of identity and the legal system. And then there's the computer. Yes, the one already with me. Encrypted or not, it holds more than just files. It holds timelines, patterns, proof. Once bigamy is officially confirmed, it's no longer just a device. It becomes admissible evidence. That's when the real doors start opening, the kind that don't close back. And he knows that. That's why he's watching, not curious, but afraid, terrified of what might come next. Blocking me doesn't mean he has let go. It just means he is watching from a distance, hoping I don't notice, but I do. And no, it doesn't bother me. I already predicted he would block me because youth always hides from the truth. I just know him too well. And if someone really did nothing wrong, why threaten me? Why block me? Why run at all? And when all this connects across Singapore, Italy, and Dubai, it is not just messy anymore. When silence becomes a mask and running becomes a pattern. He didn't just vanish, he planned it. It wasn't fear that made him disappear. It was calculation. It wasn't about starting over. it was about escaping what was catching up to him. When things started crumbling in one country, he didn't face it. He quietly relocated to another, ignored court orders, left behind all responsibility, financial, emotional, legal, and then started building something new, but not out of love, out of strategy, because that's how people like him operate. They don't rebuild, they relocate. They don't change, they cover up. And when the pressure gets too real, they don't fix anything, they run. And second marriage, suddenly arranged, conveniently timed, tucked neatly into religious and legal loopholes. Not love, just cover. Then came the business, something quick, something thin, barely runs, barely real, but just enough to validate his stay. And the residency, not even standing on his own, tied to someone else. So the paperwork looks clean and no one asks too many questions. Because if you look close enough, you will see this wasn't about starting a new life. It was about staying one step ahead of the truth. And if he still claims he hasn't committed bigamy, then I invite him to say it to my face. Because men who are innocent don't stay silent. And people who have nothing to hide don't hide behind borders, delays, and fake legal threats. If he truly believes he has done nothing wrong, why hasn't he said a word? But if you really stop and watch closely, it starts to show. This isn't someone rebuilding a life. It is someone hiding behind one. It's a camouflage, a mask built not for healing, but for delay, to stall the truth, to keep people from looking too hard, too fast. Because let's be honest, some people don't move on, they run. And some don't fall in love. They cling to systems that make them feel safe, not because they belong there, but because they believe it will make them untouchable. When silence hides a crime, but not for long. Some people think Dubai protects them, that Sharia law will shield them from accountability. But there's a difference between what's allowed and what's fraudulent. He never divorced me. He just quietly married someone else without closing what was still legally open. That's not just betrayal, that's deception. And in civil law, that's bigamy. He thought I wouldn't find out. He thought I wouldn't understand the loopholes. He gambled on silence and fake threat, hoping I would back down. But I didn't. What he didn't see coming is that his second marriage isn't just a new life, it's a legal mishap. Because when someone lies to gain residency, hides their marital status, and uses someone else to secure their stay, that's not just ethical, it's criminal. Now, his plans aren't just exposed, they are documented in photos, in screenshots, in timelines, across country, across law. He thought converting and marrying would protect him. He never thought it would reveal him. So no, this isn't about chasing revenge. It's about truth. And this post is just one of many. I haven't even named him yet. But maybe now he realizes I don't have to. The truth is already doing what it was meant to do. And I haven't even started on what's in the computer. But here's the thing, every system has its limits, and every mask eventually cracks. You can try to bury the trail, but no matter how deep you hide, it always finds a way back to the surface. So maybe he thinks that starting over somewhere else means the past disappears, that building a new life somehow erases the old one. But what he doesn't realize is this timeline. It is still unfolding, and the very past he ran from, it's already catching up right now. He won't even see it coming because the story he thought he buried, it's already being written. One move, one motive, one mistake at a time. And just because I haven't said it all yet, doesn't mean I don't already know it. And one quiet reminder, he may have been able to manipulate many people before, but he severely underestimated me. He thought his silence could hide the truth. He thought that by delaying, he could confuse or discourage me. He thought that by playing games behind the scene, I wouldn't know, but I already do. Just because I haven't exposed everything yet doesn't mean I don't already have the full truth. I choose what to reveal and when to reveal it. Silence isn't safety. It's simply giving me more time to prepare the final blow. He gambled on my silence. He underestimated my strength. And soon he will realize that underestimating me was his biggest mistake of all. You know what's beautiful? Many of you have stayed here with me, even as I kept posting. I know why. Because deep down, you can feel the truth in what I'm saying. Being kind, soft, and nice isn't a bad thing. People who knew me before, you remember what I was like. That's why it might be hard to understand what transformed me into who I am now. But the truth is, it's not a bad thing because now I won't let anyone silence me ever again. I love you guys, and that's why I speak up so you can protect yourself too. So no one ever breaks you the way they tried to break me. And to the survivors reading this, I wish I could give each of you a hug. You are beautiful, inside and out. And if I never see some of you again, just know this. If we have ever connected from the heart, you still have a place in mine. They thought silence would keep me blind. They are used to others staying broken. They are used to survivors losing their way. So when one survivor finally woke up, saw everything clearly, they didn't know what to do. They expected me to stay the old version of myself, lost, hurt, confused. They bet on me being blind. They gambled I wouldn't be smart enough to connect the dots. They hoped I would be like the others, stuck, silent, defeated. But now I'm calm, clear, unshaken. That has them panicking. The same game they played on so many, the intimidation, the silence, the delay, don't work on me anymore. But their pride won't let them admit they have been outmaneuvered. So I let the truth unfold slowly, not to humiliate, but because real strength doesn't scream, it reveals. And maybe you have asked yourself, why hasn't anyone spoken up until now? But think about it. If you saw what they put people like me through, would you dare to speak up? When people twist the truth, use money, power, and threats to silence others, it's no wonder so many stay quiet. That's how they have gotten away with it for so long, because they expect survivors to stay small, to stay broken, so they can keep hurting others while performing for the world. Maybe some of you had your suspicions. Maybe some of you are survivors too, still afraid to speak. And that's exactly what they count on. But then they met someone like me, someone who didn't stay sweet and silent, someone who transformed into a version they can no longer control, someone who lays the truth out calmly, one fact at a time. And to every survivor still carrying fear, please never believe you're not worthy, because you are. That's why they tried to dim your light, because they knew how powerful you would be if you ever stood up for yourself. I see you, and you're not alone. In the beginning, I thought maybe my story could help someone, maybe even change a life. That was just a quiet thought back then. But now I understand why I felt so strongly about speaking up. I didn't come here to cause pain. I came here to stand for what's right. And even though some people may not reply, may stay silent, or may have misunderstood me in the beginning, I still care deeply. Even if they don't like me after what he and his parents told them, even his relative, Teresa Giacomo, I still love them, auntie, uncle, and friends back there as well. I used to think it was okay to be wrong if it meant peace, but something in me just wouldn't stay quiet anymore. I had to speak, to give clarity, to tell the truth, not just for me, but so others could finally see what was really happening. And maybe, just maybe, this voice was meant to help others be wary and not to fall into the same trap. If he acted alone, maybe some people would still blindly trust him. But when his parents play along with him, that's what makes it dangerous. Because suddenly, it's not just his word anymore. It becomes a family front. And when people see parents backing their son, they assume he must be telling the truth. Yes, that's how scary it can be. Now imagine they weren't just supporting him, but helping him cover lies, get me to sign documents, to give up my rights, spread fake stories, encourage him to run, even lie to the court, to the police officers, even support his next marriage without ending the current one. Would any normal parents do that unless they are also benefiting from what he is doing? If they are that good at pretending, how long have they been doing this together? Looking back, I remember when they left him alone to handle me and flew to Thailand during one of our biggest fights. They were so confident he could manage me. But why? If this was just his first time doing something like this, how were they so sure it would work? It is because I'm not the first survivor. There were others before me. And that part makes me really sad. I still think of one of his exes. She must have gone through so much, probably isolated too, just like me. Honestly, I wish I could give her a hug and tell her, it's okay, you are not alone anymore. I can feel her, even back then. No one really talked about her. She must have felt so alone, just like what they tried to do to me. But I didn't break, and maybe that's what shocked them. I'm not trying to be a savior. I just want you to understand how damaging it can be when people like him and his parents hurt others, then turn around and paint those same people as the problem. I'm speaking up because I'm one of them, one of the people they tried to break, and I understand exactly how others must have felt too. I just hope that instead of listening to one-sided stories, people will start looking at the bigger picture. Cross-check things, ask questions. Don't be so quick to believe what's being whispered. I don't regret exposing the truth, because if I stayed quiet, knowing what I know and holding the evidence I have, I would only be letting more people get hurt. And if I can protect even one person from falling into the same trap, then this was worth it. I'm not speaking up because I hate them. I have forgiven them. But forgiveness doesn't mean I will let them keep hurting others. It doesn't mean I won't fight for my rights. So when they keep dragging their feet about settling with me, I just take it as a sign to keep sharing, to keep going, because the truth deserves to be heard. And sometimes telling it sets others free too. If I didn't have real evidence, no one would believe me either. Trust me, I know. They look so respectable, right? Some even think they are fragile, like there's no way they could be that bad. But evidence doesn't lie. I used to see them like my own family. Have you ever seen me disrespect them? Never. So ask yourself, how scary is it that just their words alone turn someone who used to love them into a monster in the eyes of others? But they never tell people what they have actually done. And that's why they are so quiet now, because they know they no longer control me. And they know I have the evidence to prove everything. And even though I still feel for the people I care about, even now, no one can convince me to stop speaking. Not because I'm angry, but because I finally understand my purpose. And I just hope they understand that too. I'm not sad at all. I know I've done my very best. I love myself deeply now. And I know the difference between right and wrong. That's why I'm thankful to anyone who has listened with their heart. It actually feels good to speak up because at least they have finally heard my side of the story. The relationship I had with him doesn't affect me anymore. It doesn't stop me from moving on. I got my freedom back and I am no longer stuck with someone who never knew how to love me. To me, life ahead is still beautiful. And those manipulative games he and his parents keep trying to play, they are honestly childish. If they want to act like honest people, then maybe it's time they start being one. Why hide behind lies while attacking others from the shadows? Truthfully, I never intended to expose this much, but the delays, the silence, the refusal to settle with integrity, that's the reason I'm still going strong. Because when people try to break you and you rise stronger instead, that's when they realize they never had control to begin with. They thought that by staying silent, I would be in the dark, that I wouldn't catch on to what they were really thinking. But the truth is, I already knew. They assumed that if they didn't react, I would start second guessing myself. But I have been watching everything closely. The timing, the silence, the shift in behavior. And now that I'm starting to lay things out piece by piece, they are beginning to realize just how much I have known all along. This isn't hesitation, this is timing, and it's intentional. Because the part that should worry them the most isn't what I have already said, it's what I haven't released yet. He thought silence meant he had won. He really believed that by cutting me off financially, he could cut off the truth too. That if I struggled long enough, I would give up. That I wouldn't have the strength or the means to uncover what he worked so hard to hide. But here's what he didn't count on. I'm not powered by money. I'm powered by will. And I wasn't alone. While he was trying to block every path I had, I was quietly building new ones. Some with people far beyond the games he likes to play, while he threatened, delayed, and tried to control the narrative. The truth kept coming to me piece by piece from places he never imagined. I didn't expose everything I knew, not because I was afraid, but because I didn't need to scream to be heard. Keeping his pride intact for now was a choice I made, not a win for him. But let's be clear, if he still thinks he can keep delaying this, he is playing with fire. Silence doesn't equal safety. It's just the fuse burning shorter. Those doors he thought were sealed shut, already wide open, and the exit he thought he had, closing one by one. He believed borders would protect him, that Singapore or Italy couldn't touch him where he is now. He thought that if he kept me financially cornered, I would run out of move, that I would break, that I would stay broken, that I would disappear quietly. But he never expected this. He never thought I would rise from everything they tried to crush. He never thought I would keep going. Not just stronger, but wiser. Not just surviving, but exposing every lie step by step. He is not untouchable, and I know exactly where the cracks are. The one behind all that carefully crafted control. He underestimated me, not just as a woman, but as the one person always saw through him. And now, that silence he thought would protect him, it's only making the truth louder. If he thinks nothing can be done, he is about to learn otherwise. He has been quiet, hiding in a country he thought would protect him, thinking that borders would block consequences, that silence would erase responsibility, that if he stayed low enough, long enough, the truth would never find him. He assumed I was just guessing, that I had no real evidence, that this was just noise. But if I could rise when they wanted me to stay broken, what makes them think I won't rise further? If I already survived everything they tried to destroy in me, what makes them believe I can't uncover more? He doesn't realize yet. I know more about the second marriage than he thinks. I know when it happened, how it happened, and why it doesn't legally hold up across jurisdiction. I have held back not because I don't have the answer, but because I was watching to see how far they would go to pretend. If I were just guessing, they wouldn't be hiding, they wouldn't be silent, they wouldn't be desperately trying to block the truth from crossing borders. He thought Dubai meant safety, that Italy and Singapore could never reach him, that I was done fighting. But here's what they don't understand. Silence doesn't mean safety, and hiding doesn't erase the evidence. It only gives me more time to prepare. And when that time runs out, they won't be met with noise. They will be met with consequences. Funny how the things he tried so hard to bury somehow still end up in front of me. And it's not always because I went digging. Sometimes the truth just has a way of showing up quietly, unexpectedly, like it was meant to find me all along. Once one lie breaks, everything around it starts to crack. They thought the past could stay buried, that if no one looked too closely, the documents would never resurface. But here's the thing, once one lie slips through, everything tied to it starts to unravel, especially when that lie is something as serious as hidden marriage. Because once that is exposed, every other detail get pulled into question. Every trail become traceable. Digital devices, they are not just gadgets anymore. They turn into potential evidence, especially when the timelines, transfers, and the encrypted files don't match the story told in public. That house in Italy, if someone was still legally married while convincing me to give up my rights, that's not just betrayal. That is legal coercion, and coercion under false pretenses leave a legal stain that doesn't fade. That new business, if it was built just to look legitimate but hides more than it shows, then we are not talking about entrepreneurship. We are talking about evasion. Because when one crack appears in the wall, it doesn't stop there. Eventually, the whole thing collapses. They thought no one would dig, but people paying attention now. More eyes, more records, more inconsistency surfacing. And when that happens, it is no longer just a story. It becomes a case, a pattern, a trail of decisions that don't hold up. So, if anyone still believes silence is protection, they have clearly forgotten one thing. It is never about how well you hide. It is about who start looking and what they find when they do. Funny how every time I rise to a challenge, something good follows, like the media interest. That didn't happen by chance. It came because I kept moving. And honestly, the more people take interest in my story, the more energy I have to keep going. Here's the thing, I have only exposed a partial 40% so far. And even that was enough to shift the entire energy. Every step forward gives me a clearer view. I never run out of options. That's the amazing part. Each truth I release sharpens my next move. So, if they are still wondering whether I'll stop, this post should answer that. Because once this story spreads internationally, what do you really think will happen to them? Do they still believe they can hide forever? When story cross platforms, silence stopped working. It has been over 10 weeks since I began speaking out, not just here, but across several platforms. I kept that quiet on purpose because someone like him would have tried to flag, report, or shut it all down, just like the fake legal threat he sent in week 8. But here's what he didn't count on. Silence didn't protect him. It only gave the story room to grow. And people started paying attention. Two media outlets have already reached out. One from Facebook, another from a different platform I post on. And no, I haven't even named him. But the pattern of psychological abuse, manipulation, and my legal victories was clear enough. 3 court wins, a paper trail of coercion, immigration loophole used like tools, and encrypted devices that hold far more than people realize. The journalists who saw part of my case weren't just curious, they were shocked. They asked me, how did you survive what was meant to destroy you? How did you gather this much of evidence while being financially cornered and emotionally isolated? And how are you still standing, not just surviving, but stronger? The answer? Because once you see through someone's mask, you don't unsee it. And when they realize you are no longer afraid, they know they have lost control of the story. That's the part they fear the most. Because this isn't just my story anymore. It is becoming something larger than him, louder than silence. To those wondering whether the media will name him, here's what actually happens. Journalists don't run with rumors. When they approached me, they didn't want gossip. They wanted proof. They asked me for documents. They reviewed court decisions. They cross-checked screenshots, date, and timelines. They even asked if I would be willing to give written consent to name the person involved. Because once it's verified, it's no longer just private pain. It becomes a matter of public interest. And yes, the facts check out. So This isn't just a story that sounds intense. It is a story that backed by evidence, reviewed by professionals, and ready to go further if it has to. And I haven't been sitting still. I have been preparing, strategizing. Now that media interest is growing, it is time to widen the lens. I'm getting ready to approach two places that matter most: Italy and Dubai. Italy, because that's where our marriage was registered, because he is Italian, because when an Italian citizen manipulates marriage and international system to escape accountability, it is not just a personal issue, it becomes a national one. Italian media care when legal frameworks tied to their country are misused or weaponized. Dubai, because that's where he ran, and no country wants to be used as a hideout for someone avoiding consequences. When someone uses religious conversion, a rush marriage, and a shell business just to stay in a country, it stops being a personal story. It becomes a legal and ethical one. So, yes, I'll be the one reaching out because when silence protects no one, the truth has to speak, and it should be heard in every place that matters most. And for those still asking if the interviews are already set or still in motion, just know this: this isn't a story looking for fame. It's a reality backed by evidence. And when the facts are this clear, the headlines come to you. And this also, I just got word that my first media interview is officially scheduled for 21st May. I'm honestly grateful, not just for the chance to share my side, but for how far this story has come. What started as a small voice is now becoming heard in places I never imagined. This is just the beginning. Isn't it funny? They used to throw legal threats at me, even sent a fake one not long ago. So why haven't they gotten a real lawyer to sue me by now? Simple. Because once a story starts getting international attention, it means the story is real. It means I've got evidence. And that's what scares them. That's why they have stayed silent for 10 weeks. Only one fake legal threat and nothing else. I've already been through court, not once, but 3 times, and I won. So, no, threats don't shake me anymore. And honestly, this isn't just about me anymore. It's bigger now. Cross borders, immigration fraud, legal system in multiple countries watching. They thought pressure would shut me up, but it did the opposite. It proved my story deserved to be heard. So whatever they try next, delay or not, I'm just glad the truth is going global. And that's more than enough for me. I will even tell you why they stayed silent for so long. They thought I only had part of the truth, that if they waited me out, I would eventually stop. Maybe I only had 60%, they assumed, but they never considered that the other 40%. I've been holding it on purpose. And what they didn't realize is I haven't even exposed all of that yet, only pieces. Because once that part drops, the game is over. They believe that by financially suppressing me, I would have no mean to keep going. That silence, pressure, and delay would stop me from digging deeper. But what they never expected is how much more I would discover because of that. And now, they are not just uncomfortable, they are shocked, they are unsettled, because they know the moment I decide to reveal the rest is the moment they lose control of the story completely. And as for his parents, maybe they hope that staying silent would protect him. Maybe they believed that not intervening would make everything disappear. But silence doesn't erase the truth. It only gives it more time to sharpen when even the backup plan start cracking. He thought relocating would reset everything. He thought marrying someone from Indonesia, someone tied to religion, culture, and perhaps less suspicion would buy him time and safety. But what he didn't say out loud was the next step. He has been thinking long term, strategizing. That's why the conversion mattered so much to him. It wasn't about faith, it was about control. Because in his mind, the next phase was simple. If things get worse, I'll just marry an Emirati woman later. That will protect me. In fact, even if things didn't get worse, that was already part of the plan. Secure permanent stay, close every legal gaps, and make sure no country could ever touch him again. But here's what he didn't see coming. His entire playbook is already visible. Every move from Dubai residency trick to marriage for cover tactics to the timing of his conversion, it's all mapped out now. If that was truly love, wouldn't there be a wedding ring, a ceremony, a photo, anything real? But there's silence, no public celebration, no trace of a union to be proud of. Because when someone rushes into a second marriage without even ending the first one, that's not love, that's strategy, that's concealment, that's manipulation. And this is why I mentioned in earlier posts why a prenup or postnup is essential. Because when someone hides their true intention, paperwork becomes the only line of protection. Because if it was truly about love, he wouldn't need to flash dinners and give online like trophies. He wouldn't need to fake a new narrative. He would have ended the old chapter properly with accountability. But even his future plan, they are not in future anymore. They are already part of the pattern, already being watched, already under review. Because the truth doesn't wait until it happens. It waits until someone exposes it. And then it erases every exit he thought he had. And the quietest part, he still doesn't know which move will be the one turns the entire system against him. He should settle, not because he wasn't given a chance, but because he gambled on silence, delay, and fake threats. He thought buying time would break me, but all it did was build the case stronger. Every delay added more evidence. Every silence only made me dig deeper. And with each post, more truth surfaces. This isn't a game anymore. It's exposure. And if he still believes delay will work, he hasn't realized how close the ending is. I have given him chances to settle with dignity. I gave space, I gave silence, not because I was weak, but because I wanted to give them a chance to do the right thing. But every time they ignored that chance, the story got louder. So don't come to me now and say I wasn't fair. Not when they spent over a year spreading lies about me and my family. Back then, they still had a window to fix it, but they chose pride, silence, and manipulation instead. And once this story crosses the final line, there's no undoing it. My silence wasn't ignorance, it was strategy. Every post, every timeline I've shared had a purpose. I've been hinting all along. I thought you do get it by now. He really believed I didn't know the full truth. But now that more is being disclosed, he has finally starting to see how much I've known from the very beginning. And maybe he's wondering, why haven't I say it all? Simple. He dragged in, hoping I would give up. I've been dragging too, but for a different reason. They delay to silence me. I delay to make sure the right people hear me. And now they are. And I still want it to spread further. Even entertaining the idea of running now, he knows that options already failed. And deep down, he knows exactly why. I don't need to explain it. He knows it too. Someone as calculated as him, he will understand what I mean. And that's exactly why I say it clearly. Settle. His parents must be panicking by now. Maybe they should have told him to settle a long time ago, but they didn't. And because of that, they have only pushed me to reveal more. What they feared the most, it's already happening. Step by step, layer by layer. And let's be clear, I know exactly what they fear. I know what they whisper behind closed doors. Do they really need me to spell it out? Real parents would have told their son, do the right thing. Settle this before it gets out of hand. But if they chose silence, they chose complicity. And if they think silence will make me stop, ask them, has it worked so far? They wanted me broken, small, quiet, afraid. Instead, I became someone they don't recognize anymore. And that's exactly why they have lost control. I never wanted it to reach this point. But when silence is weaponized and truth is buried to protect the wrong people, someone has to speak. This was never about revenge. It's about clarity. It's about closure. And if anyone's still wondering whether I'll stop, they are asking the wrong question. The real question is, how long do they plan to stay silent? Because silence doesn't stop me. It only guarantees that more will be exposed. They never realized that suppressing me wouldn't make me weaker. It made me sharper, stronger, more relentless. They thought silence would wear me down. They thought financial pressure would break me. But all it did was prove how badly they underestimated me. If they are still wondering how I have the energy to keep going, it's simple. I'm fueled by truth. Every time they chose silence over integrity, they moved the consequences closer because the truth doesn't disappear. It waits, builds, and when suppression fails, there's only one road left to walk. Consequence. After everything I've exposed so far, I wouldn't be surprised if the next move is a fake settlement. That's exactly what someone like him would try, not to fix anything, but to shift pressure and regain control of the narrative. But if I have been able to predict everything up till now, what makes him think I wouldn't see that coming too? Because here's the truth. The moment you have to fake peace, you have already lost the war. If this is really about ending it, then end it with truth, not theater.